Hey, Radiant Hill family, Bellevue Christian School family, and anybody else who is tuning in for a little hope for today. It's good for us in the midst of our current situation to stop and to consider the hope that we have in Jesus. And that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to look at a story about a man named Zacchaeus who encounters Jesus. And if you grew up in the church, you may be familiar with him, maybe even familiar with a song about Zacchaeus being a wee little man, and a wee little man is he. And if you're not familiar with that song, you are better off than I am, because that song will haunt you if it gets into your head for days, even when you don't want it to. But let's look at this story here in Luke chapter 19, starting right at verse 1. And this is talking about Jesus here. He entered into Jericho and was passing through. And behold, there was a man named Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and was rich. And he was seeking to see who Jesus was. But on account of the crowd, he could not, because he was small in stature. You gotta love that brutal honesty here, the Bible says. He was small in stature. Verse 4. So he ran on ahead and climbed into a sycamore tree to see him, for he was about to pass that way. And when Jesus came to the place, he looked up and said to him, Zacchaeus, hurry and come down, for I must stay at your house today. So he hurried and came down and received him joyfully. And when they saw it, they all grumbled. He has gone in to be the guest of a man who is a sinner. And Jesus stood and said, and Zacchaeus stood and said to the Lord, Behold, Lord, the half of my goods I give to the poor, and if I have defrauded anyone of anything, I restore it fourfold. And Jesus said to him, Today salvation has come to this house, since he also is a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man came to seek and save the lost. Now there's a few things I want to just take from this short passage, this little glimpse of Zacchaeus, who was a slimy swindler of his day. He shook people down for money. He wasn't an honest man. And what he did was he ended up climbing up in this tree, and Jesus saw him and he asked him to come down, and he met him with grace. Zacchaeus was so far from someone, even the religious leaders were kind of scoffing at, oh, he's not just gonna want to meet Zacchaeus, he's going to his house and he's gonna eat with sinners. Man, no matter where you're at, no matter what you've done, Jesus meets you with grace. You're not too far from his hand of grace. He has mercy and grace for you wherever you are at. And there's something else that Zacchaeus does that I think is worth mentioning. Zacchaeus positions himself up in that tree to see Jesus. And he didn't even know that he would not just see Jesus, but he'd come to know him and meet him. For those of us who believe, we need to know that Jesus meets us with grace, but we also need to know that he has given us good avenues so that we may see him, so that we may encounter him. And no, it's not to climb a tree, right? We're not going to climb a tree in our yard to see Jesus, right? He's not walking through our town, but he has revealed himself to us through his word. He has given us avenues of prayer so that we can talk with God. He's given us opportunities to be silent and to enjoy his presence. What avenues are you taking to see Jesus? What trees are you climbing to see him? Because he has grace for you today. Have a good one, friends.